All right, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Upper Canada District School Board regular board meeting for October 26th. Call the meeting to order and ask that we all rise and join in the singing of our national anthem.
With rolling hearts we run forth, more strong and free. From the wide ocean we stand one forth. Keep around, glorious all heaven, we stand on high, holy. We stand on high.
All right, thank you, everyone. Director, would you proceed with roll call?
Trustee Butler. Present. Trustee Gartner.
Present.
Trustee Garrell. Present. Vice Chair McPherson.
Present.
Trustee McAllister.
Present.
Vice Chair McDonald.
Present.
Trustee McMillan.
Present.
Trustee McRae.
Present.
Chair Petersma.
Present.
Trustee Richards.
Present.
Trustee Swan.
Present.
Student Trustee Jacob Howe.
Present. All right, trustees, approval of the agenda. We are removing one item. Tonight, item C2, transfer ownership of common shares. Our speakers are not available tonight to talk to us about it, so we're going to postpone that to the next board meeting. Motion to approve the agenda. Trustee McPherson, second by Trustee McMillan. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, I'll move on now to report from Committee of the Whole private session, October 12th and October 26th. One contractual matter was discussed at the October 12th private session. One personnel matter was discussed during special meeting private session this evening. No recommendations have been brought forward. Move on now to approval of the minutes. Any errors or omissions? Look for a motion to approve the minutes. Trustee Karkner, seconded by Trustee Richards. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. This evening, the director will be presenting 2 extra mile awards to 2 well-deserving members of our community. I would like to invite at this time Brandon Timmerman and Kaylee Villeneuve up to the table. And Director, do you want to introduce this?
Certainly. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Had a chance to have lunch with Brandon the other day, and just found out at the back that Kaylee couldn't join us because she had an exam or something important at college. Midterms to get in the way Kelsey's, and as I said, the chair of the board still owes you lunch as we go through, and I'll be there. I'll be there to make sure he's looked after. Mr. Chair, it's a privilege for me to give out the Director's Extra Mile Awards, and let me explain what they're about first of all. And we have had many people get them. We've had students, we've had parents, we've had bus drivers, we've had community citizens, we've had people from all over Eastern Ontario receive this award. When I became director of the board, and as amalgamated, 4 boards came together, we had to build a sense of a legacy for this board, and to start to recognize the talents of the people on this board and what they do. And the Extra Mile Award is actually a recognition of people who go beyond the call of duty to make our schools and our communities better places, not because they were compelled to do it because they were getting marks for it, not because they were being paid for it, but they went the extra mile because that was a decent, proper thing to do when leaders look around and say the world has to be a better place. And as you take a look down the hallway, there's all kinds of stories of people of character who give back to the community, not expecting ever to be recognized for it, but they do it because it's the thing you're supposed to do. They say that character is everything you do when no one's watching. But more importantly, as a leader, character is everything you do when everyone's watching. You see, sometimes when everyone's watching, it's really easy to sort of take the shortcut and say, that's tough, but I don't want to be involved in that, and you disappear on it. Yet when no one's looking, we know that some people get together and talk about things, big, huge, great ideas, and say, this has to happen. And then in the quiet moments when they choose character, when they get on the front stage, they show their character. And I'd like to thank both of you. Now, I was 2,000 miles away on my summer holidays, but with the computers, and because I'm such a wizard, I was able to read about what was going on. And it was one of those times when I wish I could have been in Brockville, because as Brandon knows that we met, I'd have been walking right beside Brandon. I believe in what you stood for, because see, I believe that the walk, and I'm so glad, Brandon, you're able to explain that to the chair and I the other day, that the walk was all about beginning to say, this is unacceptable. And the walk was saying to this community and the Board of Education and all the students and all of its staff and all of its community members that we have to go beyond tolerance. Tolerance is easy, but we have to move to acceptance. And when I met with you a couple of days ago, Brandon, in my heart, I said, I'm really, really pleased with what you did. And having met you, I'm even more pleased. But you may remember at lunchtime, the funny moment there, your old principal came back and stood over, and I didn't realize that he'd already talked to me about you before we'd even met, because he told me a wonderful story. And I didn't even know who you were. He said, David, you won't believe it. I had this boy in the school find $20. He didn't put it in his pocket. He brought it to the office to see someone must have dropped a $20 bill, and so forth. And I just said to myself, the two of you guys have never met, but he's already told me about your character before I even met you. So now, after hearing that story and other stories, because I believe you found a wallet too, you must be the who's who of the school. I'm not sure if you're not just going through the extra clothing at the end of the hallway at the end of the day. But the fact was, Brandon, when Mr. Rattan saw you there, you saw his pride in you, and it was really, really neat for the chair and I to see that. But what this Extra Mile Award about is that the school bell run. School was over. It was a summer. And you were still saying, on behalf of your friends, that's really, really important that we make Brockville, that we make Leeds and Grenville, that we make Eastern Ontario a better place for all of us. And I think it takes a great deal of courage at 54 to do that. But to do it at your age, I think you've set a very high standard for all the other kids. And finally, as we recognize this, and I haven't had a chance to get to know Kaylee as well, I've gotten to know you, but I do know that it came both of you in those conversations you had that, should we do this, what's going to happen, what will people say, and then you chose to do it. Wow. But that's really, really neat. You chose to do that, and two of our trustees, Trustee Mill and Trustee Swan, they showed up. And politicians, when they decide to show up, they go on the record because the papers, the newspapers, the television, they look for the leaders. What are they saying about this stuff? Now, that particular time, the trustees from this community who were here, now some of us were away, they said, your plight and the plight and the things that you stood for were what they stood for too. And I was very, very proud to be Director of Education when I read those particular stories. So the Director of Extra Mile Award could probably this time go to two. There's no other two people deserving more than you two right now, because you're bringing change to your school, to your community, to Eastern Ontario. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for your leadership, and I hope next year, as I said to you, that we plan really effectively, and I'm going to work my holidays around this, that as this becomes more than a walk, as this becomes a celebration of our differences, because our differences are really what make us so special, that we'll move beyond tolerance to acceptance, And so on my behalf, speaking for me only, I hope to be here, and I hope to be walking right between the two of you as you do your second walk, and maybe close to a parade.
Thank you. Before we do the presentation, I'd invite either one of you, or just one of you, both of you, to say a few words.
Go ahead there.
Well, some confusion was that the walk was for just one sexuality in general, but it's for all sexualities coming together to unite: pansexual, straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual. It's a walk of hope, basically, that there will be greater things in the future and that there will be no longer struggles and people will accept each other. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Trustees may have some questions.
Yeah, any comments from trustees? Trustee McMillan.
Well, obviously, I'm very, very proud of what you have done. I think that it takes a lot of courage to stand up for what you strongly believe in. But I think what you've done is you've sent a message very clear to your peers, to the students around you. Probably more importantly, you've sent a message to all of the adults in this community that when you believe in something, you stand up for it. And thank you so much for what you've done. And I will be there not only next year, I'm there with you right now as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Any other comments, trustees? All right, Director, let's do the presentation.
Must have been good, eh? Take minutes.
Take what?
Take minutes.
I am very pleased that we had a lot of people out tonight to witness this, and thank you very much for coming out and being part of our celebration. And you do not have to stay for the whole meeting. You are more than welcome to just slip out as you see fit.
One remark. Yeah, Brandon, thank you for lunch the other day. I know that the chair picked it up and that was very good. But the fact was, you also said something that I think the public deserves to hear too. And it wasn't I was trying to tape record everything you were saying, because we weren't. We had a really nice time together. But you said that you felt very safe at school. And you said that at Thousand Island Secondary School, that your friends and the people at your school made you feel safe, and that you were hoping that that would expand into our communities. Greg and I looked at each other after lunch was over. We said that was probably one of the nicest things for us to hear, because although the stars have lined up in a sort of tragic way with the events in Ottawa, we had planned to do this for the last 2 months. And I think that sometimes the stars line up in such a way to send a very pertinent message to all of our communities. As you and I both talked, is that let's move beyond tolerance to acceptance of others and who they are for what they are. And I think the world will be a better place. And it sounds like Thousand Island Secondary School is doing that. And so to the principals who've been there, who've set the standard, and the staff who've been there to set the standard, and I know that the back of the room would be remiss of me not to have our principals and staff stand up. Don, could you stand up? Nancy, could you stand up for BCI? So Alan, I see you around there. I see we have nice shoes on back there. And We have other staff, thank you very much. When I heard that from Brandon, Dawn, it made me feel very good about our schools, and I hope the way Brandon spoke about TIS, that all of our 23 high schools would have a very similar, if we had lunch with a couple of kids, that they'd say the same thing, that we're creating cultures way beyond tolerance, but to cultures of acceptance and true character and even love. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Director. Trustee McCray?
I have my hasty little notebook here this evening, and the last thing I want to do is take from this incredible moment in presentation. I just want to say that I love these awards that our board is giving out. I believe that they are indigenous to motivation. They express gratitude, they give energy and fuel the day-to-day operations and move people forward, thus pushing the benchmark higher and higher to excellence. And I get a real kick out of all the creative names that you, Director Thomas, come up with. And I think the one that really takes the cake in my mind at our last board meeting was the Kermit Award. I think it's brilliant. I think it's if you think about it, it's very creative. Go, of course, was for green. Green was for transparency and accountability money. Green is for wellness and healthiness. And I'd like to add hot to it. And what I'd like to do this evening is, because I believe in a hand up, and I appreciated as a new board member when I was first inaugurated receiving the Star Award from our director, because I did my very best to try to make it through the 38 pages of the GSN. I would like to present an award to our director this evening for his incredible creativity, listening skills, and sensitivity. And it's the Kermit Award with a twist. Bruce said if I was going to bring the little guy to the table, that I better make sure that he was dressed appropriately. So the award that I would like to present to you this evening is the Kermit Award. And it's Kermit with a kilt. So as it's all about creativity. Keep an open mind.
Or you know a kilt or a dress?
No, that's a
That's a kilt for sure.
had it fitted, just had it fitted.
Thank you, Trustee McCray. And we're not negotiating your contract tonight.
Yeah, no, I like Kermit.
All right, we'll move on now to report from Committee of the Whole. There are 3 motions. We'll do them individually. I'll start off with the motion that the Upper Canada District School Board Direct Administration develop a strategy to implement the spirit of policy and Program Memorandum 150 and to provide an initial report on this strategy in 90 days. Moved by Trustee McPherson, seconded by Trustee Garrow. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Move on to the next motion. Moved that the Upper Canada District School Board direct administration to work with contractors to ensure there are no cafeteria closures within the 2011-2000 school year. Moved by Trustee McAllister, seconded by Trustee McDonald. Comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Finally, that the Upper Canada District School Board approve policy 453 assessment and evaluation. Moved by Trustee McAllister, second by Trustee McMillan. Comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you very much. Move on now to report from Special Education Advisory Committee, and in the floor over to Trustee Richards.
Trustee McCray.
Trustee McCray.
Okay, so in the recent budget, it was announced that there was $257 million that would be set aside for mental health in the province of Ontario for children and youth, and this was dedicated to children and youth over the next 3 years. So our first presentation given to the SEAC committee was on a school-based service presented by Dina Pashorky from Children's Mental Health Program from the Cornwall Community Hospital. This program included 5 staff offering direct mental health services to 30 schools, 17 of them public, which received services in the Cornwall, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry area. Each staff member was responsible for 6 schools, and the referrals are from schools only and with the consent of families, and the students are required. The counselors meet with the staff in order to share recommendations to support the students, and the services included prevention to very complex needs in a wide range of emerging issues. Since April to March 31st, to the first year of this program, they saw 50 students, and there were specific targets to ensure the funding. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. There were 233 students that were seen. Of these, there were 35 male, 98 were female, and the needs were much greater and much more complex than was ever anticipated. There was 80%